Welcome to Erina, Australia, the site of this year's Pacific Asia Curling Championships 2017. We're on the Central Coast, just north of Sydney, about an hour's drive. Hans Frauenlob here, and joining me is Sander Rolbach. Good afternoon to you, Sander.
Good afternoon, Hans.
Here we are at the Erina Ice Arena, and we're looking inside. Nations all around the Pacific Asia region have gathered here to try and qualify for the World Championships. Our feature match in Women's Session 7 this afternoon is New Zealand taking on China. We're in the midpoint of the competition now, so teams are jockeying for playoff position. Let's take a look at the standings. Korea is topping the table. They're unbeaten at 4-0. China's at 3-1. Japan at 2-2, joined by New Zealand. Hong Kong at 1-3, and Australia yet to pick up their first win. Teams will be playing a double round robin. Top four will advance to the playoffs. Let's meet the teams. Here is Team New Zealand. At lead is Emma Sutherland. Divya Jararanjan's at second. Jessica Smith is playing at third, and the skip is Bridget Becker. Holly Thompson is the alternate, and their coach is Nelson Eade.
Yeah, let's meet the opponent, China. The lineup for them today: at lead is Yan Hui. At second, Yao Minghui. At third and vice is Yan Chindi. And the team is skipped by Yang Yilun. Alternate, Mong Chu. And, of course, the coach, Canadian Marcel Rock.
So the teams are all settled in as we move inside the Erina Ice Arena. Team's traditional handshake before the game begins. New Zealand on a bit of a roll now, winning last evening against Australia, and they had a great comeback win this morning against Hong Kong, stealing 3 consecutive ends to win the game. So a bit of a confidence boost for Team New Zealand, you'd have to say, Sander?
Yeah, definitely stole one in the extra, but also means that they've played a fairly long game and had a bit of a shorter break before this one, but yeah, it should fare well.
And we see New Zealand will have last rock. They're playing the red stones. China will be playing the yellow stones. Yes, short turnaround for Team New Zealand. And getting us underway is Chinese lead, Yan Hui.
Yeah, just coming into the house for this one. Throwing a guard, a stone in front of the house would be the more aggressive call. Coming into the house is showing a bit of caution early on. And it's up to New Zealand if they want to play ball here or keep things open. In the first end, a hit is called, so you might not see that many stones in this first end, but that's quite normal, Hans.
Yeah, just a chance for lead Emma Sutherland to ease into the game. 19 years of age. Being asked to remove the Chinese stone.
Right swiping.
Nice shot there from Emma, right on the nose.
Shot Emma. Turn.
And we're going to look at the New Zealand lead. Yan Hui being asked to duplicate the feat. And she does, right on the nose. That stone moving further forward. Sutherland thinks she's a bit wider on this one.
Pace that's gonna roll out.
She's got some contact. Yep, enough to move it out of the rings. Loses the shooter, however.
Yeah, it gives China another chance to play a draw here and find the draw weight early on.
China's second. Yao Minghui. 24 years of age.
我觉得稍微会有点减速。
顶线啊， 吃饱记我就想5缺56这个14秒4 OK
好球！我就告诉他长球啊，14秒4。
Jiang Yan, bring it into the 8 foot. So pretty straight up and down first end, as you said, Sander. Plays into the rings. Here's New Zealand's second stone. David Jayarajan.
Stay close. Yep, little bit. Yep.
Yeah, it's a good chance for both teams to just make a few simple shots and
Try and get a roll.
just boost their confidence a little bit, get to use the ice, and also bank some clock, of course. There is the 38 minutes of thinking time per team. So, of course, playing a quick first end leaves them a little more time to think throughout the rest of the game.
So good execution from both teams here. And these are the rules of play. As Sander said, each team has 38 minutes of thinking time to play their shots. 6 ends minimum, but 10 ends scheduled. If there's a tie after 10, there will be an extra end. Kiwis had one of those this morning, and each team has one 60-second timeout.
Yep. Hard on the way, girls. Hard on the way. All the way. Yep.
Smith and Sutherland trying to hold the line with the brushing, trying to prevent the curl. And they do a very nice job. New Zealand lies 1.
OK。
正常下线哈。
对。
Let's meet Jiang Jindi.
哇，外侧，
力量挺大的啊。
外侧，一会儿。
Another young player on the ice today. She's only 20 years of age. This one has got a lot of curling to do and just nudges the New Zealand stone and rolls away. So first break of the end goes to New Zealand.
Yeah, all of a sudden a chance to join and lie 2 here.
New Zealand third, another 20-year-old, Jessica Smith.
Line's very tight, girls. Here's it.
Yeah, best player on the ice during our broadcast last night. Although not the best game from either team, but she was solid, and she might be key in this game against China today.
I would agree. She was easily the best player on the ice last night, and that's a beauty. Splits the stones. Very nice shot from Jessica Smith.
Okay.
So she's picking up where she left off last evening.
Yeah, so China's plan here is to try and hit this red stone, try and roll the yellow shooter towards the other red, try and group them, and hopefully have a chance to play a double takeout and take the end away from New Zealand.
A little bit of a roll to take it near the New Zealand stone, and they get exactly that. Trying to sweep it behind the New Zealand rock. Not quite. So it should still be available for Jessica Smith. Nice shot there, though, from Jiang Jindi. And there you get a good look at it. Chinese stone is available.
Whoa, stay close. Yep, whoa. Yep, hard.
Trying to get by their own, comfortably past their own.
It's my fault. Sorry, Jess.
New Zealand lies 2.
Sorry.
Tough angle for a double here for the Chinese. I think they can make the pair, but they would lose the shooter if they did.
Sorry about that.
打一半，再打到这儿吧。再打一小半哈。就这一点我大力。行，先去帮我打掉一个。先去帮我打掉一个。
As we mentioned, these teams in the women's event are playing a
我确保打掉一个。
double round robin. That means 10 games. So that's quite a long haul for the teams. They're, as we said, comfortably into it now. They've all had 4 matches. So it's a bit early to be thinking playoffs, but as the tournament progresses, we'll be keeping an eye on the standings. Here is Chinese skip Zhang Yilun. Yes, whoa. It usually means it's close. Gets one, gets two, does lose the shooter, but makes the double takeout. Nice shot there from Zhang Yilun. That takes away the possibility of a 2-point end for New Zealand. Get a look on the replay. Perfect contact. Good angle, removes both the stones. She does lose her own shot rock in the process, but she was mainly concerned about removing the New Zealand rocks.
there because no one's thrown down on the foot.
We talked about the thirds having to tidy things up for the skip, but in this case it's the skip tidying up after the third, and there might be a thank you involved.
Might be a Zhizhia involved, absolutely. Bridget Becker, the New Zealand skip, now has an open house to draw to.
Just as long as it's in, girls. Have a look. Have a look. Whoa, whoa, whoa.
Bridget thought the ice might be a little bit slower up the middle, but this one is carrying pretty well. It's going to go deep in the house. Will it stay in the house? Needs to be touching at least part of the rings to be eligible to count, and it does.
What was it?
Yeah, well, both teams have a team practice before the game starts, so it's important for you to try and keep a track of where the stone's been played, not only in your practice, but also watch your opponent. The more stones are played down the path, the quicker it gets. So.
Reading the ice is a major part of the skill in the sport of curling, because the ice conditions do change. Really working this one to try and hold the line. Are they going to stick around? Make the hit? And yes, they do. Nice brushing there from Team China.
Try and not stick around. Hit and roll it.
Here, Bridget Becker saying to her teammates she wants to hit and roll it. So the plan here for the New Zealanders is to hit the Chinese stone, but not to stay in the house. They want to roll out of the house, and that would be called a blank end, no score. And in that case, New Zealand would retain last rock advantage in the next end. So final rock on its way here in the first.
Good job! Yes! Yes! Go roll on the inside, Jess. Yep. Yeah. Yep.
Just you behind the tee.
Roll it out.
Well, nicely done. Goes across, but makes the shot. So it is a blank end. No score in the first end. New Zealand will carry last rock into end number 2. So after the first end of play, we have no score.
That's the first end we've had. What do you want to do? Play again? We'll do one more like that.
China again, electing to play this one a bit conservatively. Sandra bringing a stone into the rings rather than throwing a guard. Are you surprised?
Well, maybe they're thinking, you know, let's preserve some energy here and just play to our strengths, thinking maybe, well, we feel like we're the better team. We'll make more shots than New Zealand. We'll just wait for them to make a few simple mistakes and capitalize. But in the first end, it was actually China to make that
Little bit, yep.
simple mistake.
Yep.
With
Can we roll your
Chindi.
way, Jeff? Yeah.
So far, New Zealand's holding up. So we'll see if they change up the tactics. It looks like the Kiwis are quite content to keep this play on. You know, considering they had a pretty aggressive and, you know, long game this morning, they might want to also preserve some energy and just play a few simple ends here.
That's true. If you're throwing a lot of hits and it's straight up and down, you definitely do save some energy.
Yeah, less thinking, less sweeping. You save mental energy as well as physical.
Do you like that?
Bridget Becker, though, says, okay.
Give it a go.
Rest time is over. Let's go on the
Even
offense.
if you give it a bump.
Electing not to hit that stone, but she's going to ask her teammate Emma Sutherland to corner freeze or draw a stone in front of that Chinese rock. Very aggressive play.
Yeah, bit of a weird call to me. It's you're going to have to make this very perfect to get anything out of it. I think you might as well throw a corner guard here if you want to get some offense going. You know, that Chinese stone all the way out in the wing. You can easily throw a corner guard. The forfeit's open. Would be less risk that way, but yeah, freeze. First of all, a very tough shot to make, and wouldn't give you very much. This one over curls, so China a chance to draw in line 2. Just seems a little inconsistent to me, Hans.
We saw a bit of that last night from Team New Zealand. They certainly do like to play freezes and draws quite a lot.
I always feel like curling is very much a game of well-timed aggression.
That's another great way to describe it. Like, that's exactly right.
Just pick your spots. And, you know, it's tied game. No points awarded so far. You got another 8 ends after this. I'm sure you could find a better opportunity to get some aggression going with the last one advantage.
Divya Ranjan then being asked to remove one of the Chinese stones, and she'd like to stick around, doesn't want to roll out, but this one seems to be curling. There is a roll. Closes the house up towards the Chinese shot, so that's a good shot there from Divya Ranjan. Yu Mingwei. One thing about this Chinese stadium, we certainly got the most aggressive sweeping line calls in the competition, and here is their coach, Marcel Rock. He's been working with the Chinese curling program now for a number of years, and quite a legendary international athlete in his own right, member of the famous Furby 4, Canadian multiple world champion. And another nice roll there from the Kiwis. 2 nice hit and rolls there by Divya Ranjan. And there's the New Zealand bench, and there's coach Nelson Eade. Holly Thompson, the alternate. And it looks like the Kiwi mascot as well, safely watching the action.
That's the Kiwi bird.
That is the Kiwi bird. We've talked a lot about Australia this week and the wide variety of lethal creatures here that can sort of end your life in a heartbeat. But New Zealand, on the other hand, quite inoffensive range of wildlife and fauna, and the national emblem, the national bird, the Kiwi. A flightless bird, because you don't really need to fly to run away from anything, because there's nothing that's going to chase you and kill you anyway. So we like the Kiwi in New Zealand.
If you bump it back, you bump it back. Yeah.
So once again, Bridget Becker electing to try and corner freeze this stone way out on the wing. So now it's Jessica Smith going to have a go.
Back forward. Yep.
Really not much room for error here, though. So really trying to force the issue here.
I just feel like this is a shortcut to being forced in this second end for New Zealand.
Yeah, my fault.
Pushes the Chinese stone and
My fault. Sorry, Jess. Shut up. Need to curl it half.
leaves it on the ring. So as Sander just pointed out, now the Chinese can lie too. They might accomplish that goal of a force, and in curling we call it a force when you force your opponent who has last rock to take a single point. Makes the hit, gets some separation. Angle's a little bit better now for New Zealand if Jessica Smith can make a hit and roll and sit in front of that Chinese stone. They might be able to get something going here. And if not, it's there as a catcher for a double takeout.
Yeah, as a skip, you got to keep that option in mind.
Stay close. Yep. 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 Roll it. Whoa, whoa, whoa.
Oh, is it going to go over the top?
Perfect. Oh. Think so?
Looks like it just nudged it off the rings. Nice shot there by Jess Smith. Would have liked that a little bit thinner to make the double takeout and stick. We can see as the stone is heading towards your lounge, it nudges the Chinese stone and just pushes it, we think, off the rings. Players can ask for a measure from the officials. They'll have a 6-foot measure that will determine whether the stone is actually in the scoring area or not.
Yeah, you're not allowed to do that until the end is over. So you might just have to chance it if you're not sure. We've seen that happen a few times.
Yeah, and that's one of the things we talk about, attention to detail at this top level of the sport. And one of the things that coaches and alternates will often do in evening practice is take the 6-foot measure out and test all of the rings for how true they are, because just because they're painted there, they are very accurate, but sometimes there can be a tiny variation, and the 6-foot measure actually determines for certain whether a stone is in the rings or not. Bridget Becker having another look at that one, as is Jess. Jess is thinking, yeah, I think it's off. From this overhead angle, it does look like it's off the rings. It sounds like about an 85% confidence level from Bridget that that stone's off the rings, but her attention has to shift to this stone in the 4-foot now, trying to remove it. Set that one pretty full on the release. And catches a piece but rolls away.
I give that a great positive push.
Yeah, I think so, Bridget. That one was a bit of a push. That's exactly right. Took it a little bit off its intended line.
Sorry about that.
So the whole house is available for Jiang Yilin. Trying to get this stone into the rings to force Becker to hit and roll away to blank. Comes to rest, just biting that white 8-foot circle. Bridget taking one more look at that stone in the wing. It's like the Dirty Harry movie. Do you feel lucky?
Oh, do ya?
Do ya? Interesting that they're electing the outturn side to try the blank though, Sander, because that increases the risk of a jam and a stick. And there's one. Apologies if it's not. She's pre-apologizing if they guess wrong that the stone is in the rings.
I guess she's playing it this way
as a just in case
to try and get the double, and you know, if you're real good, you can do the double and try and roll the shooter up and out here. Or underneath for the blank.
Last stone here. New Zealand trying to hit this one on the left-hand side of the rock. They'd like to roll it off the rings. This is heading towards, and indeed it does jam, and so no blank there. That one we think is absolutely in the rings. So after all of that speculation, New Zealand makes the double takeout. Didn't really want to stay in the rings to take one. Yeah, it was out. But the red one is in. New Zealand counts 1. And after 2 ends of play, it's New Zealand 1, China no score.
Okay, that was fun. You're going fun. What do you want to do? Line's been tight. Where is it? Have we looked? It's gonna curl a lot.
Welcome back to the Erina Ice Arena in Erina, Australia.
Bring it in. Yep.
Live curling action from the Pacific Asia Curling Championships 2017. It's been 21 years since the country of Australia has hosted this event. And all of the competitors and their coaches, they're delighted to be returning to the land down under for a spot of curling. China would last rock here on end number 3. So now we see China immediately going to the offense, throwing a corner guard. So here we go, Sander.
Yeah, finally some offense. Some sensible offense, anyway.
If you're new to the sport, curling has a rule called the free guard zone, which means if the stone is in play but in front of the rings, for the first 4 stones at the end, it can't be removed from play. You can't remove your opponent's stone. So New Zealand couldn't remove that Chinese guard on this shot, so Emma Sutherland being asked to draw it into the rings. Little feedback there for Emma from Skip Bridget Becker. Yan Hui being asked now to remove at least one of the New Zealand shots. It's going across it. Is it going to stick around? Might spin back? No. Stays in play. Rocks are in play until they touch that sideboard. So that stone, even though it's very, very close to that sideboard, is not touching it, so it stays in play. Unlikely to be a factor, though.
Well, the free guard zone is up here, so if New Zealand wanted to, they could just peel that corner guard and take away the end for China, but maybe playing to their strengths, I don't know. Coming into the house, top 12. Might just leave a double for China, though.
We saw that Zhang Yulin did make a double takeout there in the first end to take a potential multiple point end away from the New Zealanders. Jarajan draws into the back of the white 8-foot circle. New Zealand is line 2. Yao Mingwei.
10秒，带着点。哇，力量。10秒，9秒5。外侧，外侧，下线，下线，下线，下线，下线，这一插头。再来点，再来点。
Nice roll there for Yao. Rolls right in front of that New Zealand stone, so makes it a little bit more difficult for the Kiwis to remove it. Risks the jam. There we see the red stone belonging to New Zealand behind the Chinese shot now.
Whoa, whoa, close. Whoa. Curl.
Waiting for this one to curl. Has she got contact? Just clips it. Sigh of relief there from Bridget. Must have been a little bit full. Wide of the target line.
Don't throw much of a handle. Okay. But upright, maybe.
14秒来吧，我觉得14秒5稍微偏小一点的现在。Okay.
China's got last rock here in the third. Curling fan Sander might be wondering, they're accustomed to seeing former world champion team of Bin Yu Wang at these competitions, and this is a different Chinese women's team at this event, and some fans have been asking why that is, and you've been speaking with Coach Marcel Rock.
Yeah, the simple explanation is that Bin Yu Wang will be attending the Olympic qualification event in Pilsen, Czech Republic, early December, and they felt like traveling all the way to the east coast of Australia just a couple of weeks beforehand would just be a bit too much traveling, take up too much time. So focus in on other things, and also giving a young team a chance to come to a championship and get some much needed experience, also thinking further ahead towards the Olympics in Beijing 2022. So a bit of a win-win, I think.
Very much so. There are still 2 qualification spots up for grabs in the upcoming Pyeongchang Winter Olympics. Jessica Smith throwing that one through the ring, so a bit of an error there for the New Zealanders. But there are 2 spots available yet to be determined for the field in Pyeongchang, and in both the men's and the women's event, China will be competing at that Olympic qualifier, so big event coming up for both of the Chinese teams. So good opportunity now for China to maybe set up a 2-point end of their own. Ignoring the stone at the back. Just tickling that front stone. They would have loved to tuck behind it, but it just feathers the guard. Zhang Xindi nearly made the come around, but just feathered the guard. So Jessica Smith will immediately try to remove it. Jams on the stone at the back. That's probably not as a bad result, actually, for the New Zealanders, because that stone behind the tee line represented something the Chinese might have been able to use, Sanders. That's a good result.
Yeah, also rolls half buried around the corner guard. So it'll be very hard for China to come around that guard now, and they might just try and come after the red stone. Or perhaps try and just throw around everything.
Wow. Well, this is a very aggressive offensive call. It's a good one. You just tried it, so you know the path.
Yeah, definitely like this one. There's enough curl in the ice here. You can come around pretty much everything. The stone top to 12 is very much a guard itself, and with them being staggered, if you come around here, it'd be hard for New Zealand to run anything back onto it.
Has it got the weight? The brushers are really working it. Coming up, just nudging the New Zealand stone. So the Chinese stone is shot, but not behind cover.
Yeah, I can't really hit and roll that one because it's going to bounce off that one. Just hit and sit.
Yeah.
You want to come outside in it, though?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. You like that?
Do you see that? Do you see that?
If it doesn't curl, come off that front yellow.
Yeah.
You like coming this way at it? Yeah. Got to hit on the nose. Can't really. If we hit on that side, it's going to take our yellow. It's just going to spring back in.
Bridget Becker electing to change the turn on this shot. She wants to throw the in-turn. She thinks that's going to give her better control. Reduce the risk of a jam.
Oh, yeah.
Sweeper's on it right away. They're worried about the line. Is this one over curling? Oh my goodness, this one has gone right across the path, and that's a clean miss.
Downway.
Bridget's really been struggling with her hitting, Sander. She's had nice control of her draw weight, but we've seen a
tight end down.
number of misses on the hits.
Yeah, just a little inconsistent, I think, mostly with her releases. You know, sometimes just a little soft, and sometimes a little too much inside out, too much of a flick, and of course when you're inconsistent with that, it's hard to put the broom in the right spot.
So a chance here for Team China to take advantage of that error and split the house to lie 2 shots. Jiang Yilun. Nice shot. China lies 2.
So it's not hollow there, huh? Yeah, I don't know. Outside in's easier to read. To come outside in, then we can just, yeah. Because you want a flat roll, I don't really want a big one.
Yeah?
So let's see if Bridget can bounce back from that missed hit.
And get some form of roll over behind the other one.
Yeah, she would like to roll to the left of our picture as we're looking at it. If she can roll behind that pile of stones on the left side of our picture, that would be a great shot.
That first one, girls. Down wide, huh?
She can't drop the weight too much, though, can she, Sander? If she's looking for a 6-foot roll, she's going to need to have reasonable weight.
Control!
Yep, that's true.
Well, this one's got lots. Is it going to curl enough? Oh my goodness, another clean miss.
Unlucky. Okay.
Well, that's that overcorrecting that we talked a lot about last night. You know, you overcurl your first one, and then you just overcorrect a wee bit with your next shot. I think we've seen this from Bridget Becker. You have she'll have a tendency to maybe soften up the in-turns and then flick out the out-turns a little bit. So it's not the first time we've seen that.
So golden opportunity here for Team China to really cash in. Just needs full 12-foot to score 3 points. Jiang Yilun. Sweepers. The whole crew is on this one. They know they need to drag it in full into that blue 12-foot circle. Have they done it? I'm not sure. Oh, good sweeping, but I think they'll take a look at it. It's 2 points for sure. Jessica Smith going to look at it as well. If they're unsure, they'll ask for a measurement from an official. It is agreed that it is 3 points. So China taking full advantage of the Kiwi errors, and they cash it in. China jumps in front of this match. After 3 ends of play, it's China 3 and New Zealand 1.
Oh, sorry about that, Tim. Right. Why do I do that to you guys? Like, put pressure on you. Yeah, that was shit.
行，有点粘了，擦不动冰了。
粘了。记啊。
Play underway here on end number 4. Yan Hui, 92% so far in shooting accuracy in this match. And Sandra, we saw the New Zealanders bounce back last night from dropping a 3 against the Australians, and they're going to need to do something similar here this afternoon.
Yeah. Well. It's often, you know, after a storm comes a calm, as they say. So, you know, they might be able to recuperate. Lots of time left.
Emma Sutherland at 75% so far in the match. Well, plenty of time left. It is a 10-end contest, and New Zealand now does have last rock, so no need to panic for sure. New Zealand gets a pair here, and the scores are level.
Yeah, and of course, knowing that they just did it this morning.
Yeah.
We'll keep that in mind.
Nice corner guard there by Emma. Yan Hui. Teams at the Pacific Asia Curling Championships are competing not only for the championship here, but for qualification places at the World Women's Curling Championships. That will be held in March of 2018 in North Bay in Canada. That competition this year has expanded to be a 13-team event, and for the first time, 3 qualifiers will come from the Pacific Asia region. So all of our podium finishers in the women's event will in fact go on to North Bay. Emma Sutherland. Oh, nice shot there by Emma Sutherland. Double takeout. And Sanders, I know somebody who's excelled at the lead position. That's kind of like the golden ticket, isn't it? When you can make a double as a lead.
Yeah, well, I never have, but.
Yeah, Mingwei at 79%.
But I'm sure you share the feeling, Hans.
Well, that's true. I've certainly left my teammates opportunities to make doubles by missing the odd stone here.
This is not my job.
Very nice stone by him. Of course, the lead position, because of the free guard zone, the leads do play a lot of guard stones and draw weight shots. So nice execution there by the New Zealand lead to make that double takeout.
Yeah, but yeah, playing lead, you throw so many draws in a week, you don't get to throw that many hits. So when you finally get to play one and you make a double, it's great. It's tougher for the lead than anyone else on the team.
That's absolutely right. Another hit there from the New Zealanders, this time by Divjaranjan. Noses the Chinese shot, and New Zealand lies 1. Yan Hui. Play on end number 4. This one going to stick around. They're trying to sweep it to get that little tweak back. But no, it rolls off the ring. So here's the chance that the New Zealanders have been waiting for. First rock at the end was that corner guard, and now Divjaranjan is going to be asked to draw around it.
Sorry, but why? Wait, T. Okay, a little bit, ribbon. Yep. Lots of room. Loads of room. Coming now. A little bit. Well, just for weight. Just for weight, girls. Okay. Whoa. Bring it back.
Good looking stone here.
Good.
curl right out the other side.
Comes to rest, back the 8-foot, behind the guard, and New Zealand's line 1. And you see it perfectly guarded.
轻一个还是粘一个？
踏板 OK
You see the touch of the foot. That's a weight indication to her teammate. Trying to throw hack weight. Not full takeout weight, just a heavy draw. That allows the stone to curl a little bit more and get around that front guard. Here is Zhang Jindi. She's at 63% for the game.
OK 啊，哇，等一等，哇，等一等，加油！
The option here of the tolerance is to take off the guard and roll the shooter into the house.
全力，哇，
Well past it. That's a great looking shot.
Class all the way.
好球 OK 好球 OK 好球
Very nice stone by Zhang Jindi.
Yeah, keeps it in the 8-foot. There's a chance New Zealand won't be able to lie a shot stone if they're fully buried here. But they'll still come around, which I like.
Yeah, I like the call as well. New Zealand put the corner guard there for a reason, to try and use it to generate more than 1 point. So Jessica Smith now is going to be asked to draw a stone behind there.
Got a curl, loves to curl. Where's the weight? Tay. Might need it. Yeah, go, go, go. Just the weight. Go. Needs it. Okay, got another line. Whoa, whoa. Okay, bring it back. Bring it back, bring it back, bring it back, bring it back. All the way, all the way. Let's try it, Jess.
This one doesn't vary quite as well as that previous stone, so
打甩打钉都可以
a bit
啊
more wide open for the Chinese to be able to hit it.
，10秒，
Be able to play a normal takeout weight this time.
Stop.
There we see from the shooter end that that stone is fully available for Zhang Jindi.
哇，哇，哇，手有点大，哇，等一等，下线，外侧下线，哇。
Hits and rolls. Will she stay in the rings? No, it rolls off the rings.
You want to do this again?
Decision time now for Team New Zealand. One more go around the corner.
烟花，烟花，
And the decision is yes, indeed. We'll take one more shot at going around that corner guard.
Line's a little tighter this time. Where's the weight? Nothing. What do you reckon? A little bit, yep. Yep. Line's great. Just wait, just wait. Yep, get it here. Whoa, whoa, whoa.
Oh, good looking shot here from Jess Smith. This one's going to slide just past the tee line. Comes to rest, biting the 8-foot. Second shot, but importantly, behind that corner guard.
比他近就行，这样投。白球，白边点。
There we see, fully buried, but as we saw from the earlier shot from Chindi, that
OK，
with down weight you can get there.
前面都行，
OK，比他近就行了。
对，比他近
Although
就
this
行。
time, Sander, it looks like they're electing a freeze instead of a bump.
Yeah, it's almost over buried, I think, that draw. Hard to get to.
前进白圈就行。
大概14秒，
行。
或者14秒。
And if you make the bump, you probably leave a double for New Zealand. So
Or something else to freeze to, that's right. So here's Zhang
Yeah.
Jilin. 92%, that's pretty good shooting.
我感觉可以带着点。
外侧等一下，外侧，外侧，外侧可以。
四五，四五。
正常，
肯定手感。
正常，
Chinese brushers switch positions to try and hold the line. That tells us that they think the stone might be over curling. But less than over curling now, they're worried about the weight. Are they going to get it to third shot position? No, it comes up short. So good opportunity now for New Zealand to bounce back. They can just remove that Chinese stone in the back of the 8-foot and lie 2.
力量小哈，就他也没有。因为我那天那球多一个人擦，不是就走道点。
So you get the feeling, Sander, that this is a really important moment in the match for Bridget.
Fingers crossed like
我觉得，
She missed 2 hits in the last end, and she's going to be throwing a hit
不是，我
now.
觉得
And
场地比他次了点，好像
need to just draw breath, and it's really cliche, but it's just really just about the process, isn't it? Just throw it, slide good, let it go.
Yeah, it's always tough after missing a few takeouts. You sit there, you start questioning yourself, your technique. What should I do? You start trying to correct things, and it's tough. But all you can really do is make one, and then carry on from there.
Well, make one she does. That's a beauty. Nice shot, Bridget. And New Zealand lies too.
Just wanted to make sure we were shot in front of that one.
Yeah, we are.
Good calling. See, there's a down weight and it came back.
So after dropping the 3, the New Zealanders now got a multiple point end brewing. They're lying 2. Really, with that stone being so deep in the house, there's really no possibility at all for China to roll behind cover. They'll be behind the New Zealand shot.
Yeah, just a nose hit here for China, and then Bridget Becker will have to make one herself for the 2.
There is the nose hit. So Yilan's done all she can do in this end.
So it's slightly down, yeah?
Last stone is in the hands of Bridget. Well, she could stand in the house and sweep, I suppose.
She could have made that first freeze.
That's true too. That's true too. But last stone about to be on its way here for New Zealand's Bridget Becker. Sweepers are a little bit concerned about the weight being down, but they don't seem to be worried about the line. In fact, they want it to curl a bit. Oh, it hits and it rolls away. So disappointment for the New Zealanders. A chance for 2 gone begging. They score 1, however. Closing this one up, and after 4 ends of play, it is China 3 and New Zealand 2.
Girls, I'm not helping you much, am I? You're playing really well.
Just when you release it, like you're sliding really straight.
Okay.
It seemed like less weight than your first one too.
Yeah.
Well, I hope it does.
Top 12.
Let's go for in here.
And the Sutherland gets us underway
Tight.
in the 4th end.
Close as you can.
5th end, rather.
Just get it as close as
Apologies.
you can, even if it's over onto the line, guys.
New Zealand scored 1 on the
bring it
4th.
right over. Bring it right over. I can bump it in.
Do you want a butting?
That's
I
fine.
don't like you butting.
Good center guard.
That's
Tight to the
fine.
rings.
We can use that.
他那站位是14.5秒，现在得13.5秒到14秒了。
Jiang Jilin immediately says, okay. Yan Hui, draw around it.
去保级啊！去保级啊！顶线！加油加油，Harry！
Sweepers are really working this one.
Harry，下路飞！
踩底线。力量。
Oh, nice job by the Chinese sweepers, dragging this stone into the 4-foot.
Okay.
Perfectly buried. That is beautiful. Great shot. Position A.
Can I sit there?
Okay.
Sunday afternoon here in Erina, Australia. You're enjoying live curling action at the Pacific Asia Curling Championships 2017. Kind of an historic day here, Sander. There's a men's event and a women's event going on, and the men's event earlier today.
Back 4.
The men's team from Qatar recorded their first ever international victory. So that was a bit of an historic moment.
Yeah, picking up a win against Kazakhstan. They seem to be in high spirits. It's always fantastic to see new nation, new federation pick up their first win at a championship. I'm sure there'll be more to come.
Yeah, it's a big deal. It really is. The team from Qatar has been working really hard here this week. They came over early to train, competed in the doubles competition pre-event, and yeah, it's great to see that first result. I can recall.
It'll be in the history books forever.
It will. You'll only ever be the first team to win a game for your nation. Absolutely right. Call curling for New Zealand in our first World Championships. We went 0-9. So it took our second World Championships before we got our first ever World Championship win, and I remember what a feeling that was. So I'm sure for the Qatari team, similar feeling today. And the other bit of history that happened today, in the men's draw, Australian skip Hugh Milliken competed in his 400th game for Australia. That is a lot of curling for your country. Got a big win today against Team China, and the Australian men are at 4-0, so they're rolling right along. We'll have a men's game for you on our broadcast later today, but we're turning to our feature match this afternoon in the women's event. It's New Zealand versus China.
Roll it out, roll it out, roll it, roll it. Ooh,
and after those nice come-arounds by Team China, New Zealand says, okay, have to open it up. And Dipjanaranjan clears the center guard.
6曲，加14秒，行，加。
But the growth in curling in this region over the last 15 years has been quite breathtaking. You mentioned Kazakhstan. Teams competing here from Hong Kong, and Chinese Taipei, Korea, Japan, New Zealand, Australia. And Stone coming in to the rings, sits up parallel. Nice weight control there from Team China. And there are more on the horizon, Sander. We've heard that there are curling associations forming in Kyrgyzstan.
And Afghanistan. Saudi Arabia.
Yep.
It's picking up.
New Zealand now trying to get rid of at least one Chinese stone, and they do. They would have loved to roll in front of the Chinese stone, but it rolls to the wing. Jiraranjan, small head shake there. Pretty good shot, but China holding the card so far here in the fifth. They've got the hammer, and if they can remove this Kiwi shot, they'll be lying 3. Whole end really set up on that first great come around from Yan Hui. Drawing around the center guard, and from there, it's been all bailout here for Team New Zealand.
Yeah, a bit of a break there for the Kiwis.
Rolls off the rings. So a small break for the New Zealanders, and maybe a chance here for a cross-house double for Jessica Smith. Yamming Wei just asking for a bit of feedback. There's one. Oh, small misread. Almost a double takeout there. Nice try there from Jess Smith. Just needed to catch that one a little fuller. Brushed it early and just caught it a little bit thin. Those ones can be tough reads. Sliding deep. Jindy says, that's got lots. Don't sweep it, girls. That's just perfect. Parallel. No double take out there now. Both behind the tee line, however. But you'd be pretty brave to play a freeze if you're New Zealand. So Jess Smith is going to be asked to remove the shot rock.
Control. Yep.
Yeah, just try to make the hit and stick here.
Yep. Yes. Hard
And there's a good chance he'll have a go at the double.
Roll your way, Div.
Good sweeping.
Yep, nice shot there from Jessica Smith.
10秒。
可以，
可以。
打流也可以。
嗯。行，还是正常做。行。
Zhang Jindy.
10秒5。快。
哇哇 clean，
Hard 啥呀？
顶线 Harry， 哈全力，哈全力烟花擦 Harry， 哈全力擦住 Harry。
Left that for a long time.
你是感觉出手对。
You'd have to call that a sweeping error as well. You're right, Sandra. They stick around, so China is lying too, but that little bit of a roll there, we can see that's closed it up quite a lot. So
See if we can hit and sit in front of the other one. Double's pretty, I don't know if there's double.
Bridget's not quite sure about the angle for the double, so she's thinking about a hit and roll on top of the stone on the right side of our picture. Catches it, then though she could make a double takeout as well.
Control. Push. Yep. Yes. All the way.
Just noses it. New Zealand lies one.
加油，打定打甩都行。
可以，加。
这边后期扎的有点大。
行。
10秒。9秒5。对。
哇！
下线啊！
下线。
下线。下线。
Trying to hit and maybe roll a little bit away from their shot rock, but instead they roll toward it. China lies two. A little bit of disappointment there in the face of Yilin. She would have been looking to roll to the other wing, wouldn't she, Sandra? Or at least get a bit more separation?
Yeah, definitely a double on now for Bridget Becker. Just the hair on the inside of this top yellow.
See if we can get rid of them both. If not, just hit and sit in front. We just have to be short, sitting short, yeah? Put a bit of pressure on them.
You heard Bridget talk about her options. She can make the double, or if she's a little bit wide, she can just hit in a tiny roll to the outside and sit in front of the Chinese stone.
Control.
Whoa.
Might have flicked that one out once more.
Sweepers aren't laying a brush to it.
Can we get another one?
Hit and roll. It does roll to the wing, but it rolls into second shot position, so relatively free draw for two here for China. They need full 12 foot to score two.
That's not the first time we've seen Bridget Becker under curl and out turn takeout so far in this game.
色一点哈。
At least 3
This is going to be really tight, I think.
这样你这边
comes to
稍微
mind.
偏直一点，稍微收一点点。
I'm going to flip it every time.
Seems to be fighting her release a little bit. It's hard to second guess, and it's unfair to second guess really from up here, but certainly something that she'll want to be aware of and work on between matches.
Well, if she's consistently a bit wide on the broom, you can always just tighten up the ice. And that's also a way to fix that. You never like to start doing any huge technical changes in the middle of a championship.
It's about fine adjustments and No adjustment required here for Jiang Yilun, just having to draw one into the 12-foot. She drills it into the 4-foot. So it's a score of 2 to China. So as we head to the 5th end break, the halfway point of the contest, that too gives the Chinese a 5-2 lead. Play in the 3rd end. New Zealand versus China. China with last rock in the 3rd end. New Zealand skip Bridget Becker trying to remove the Chinese stone, but wide on the attempted hit. Blows it by, and so it's a chance for China to draw for 3. Line 2 already, and it's the final stone on its way for Jiang Yilun. All hands to the pump on the brushes. They need to drag it into the 12-foot, coast to coast with the sweep. And after a bit of investigation, it's agreed it is a score of 3, so China goes in front 3-1. In the 5th end, again, China with last rock, already lying 1. So an opportunity for Jiang Yilun to again draw the rings for multiple points. She puts it into the 4-foot to cash in the deuce. And at the midpoint of the contest, it is China 5 and New Zealand 2. And we'll take a look at the team statistics here at the halfway point of the match. No stolen points in the game, and shooting percentage terms, that's kind of telling the story, Sander. The Chinese team with a 12 percentage point advantage over their New Zealand competitors at this point of the game.
Yeah, that's worth about a 3-point lead, apparently. It's, yeah.
It's been both draws and in hits, and really a couple of mistake-out attempts have really made the difference, unfortunately, for the New Zealanders so far, but still 5 ends to play, and now they have last rock, so important for the New Zealanders in this 6th end to think about scoring too. Here's Yan Hui. She's had an excellent game so far. She's at 95% at the lead position for China. Sander, you mentioned the 2022 Winter Olympics are going to be in Beijing. Beijing will have the distinction of being the first city to host a summer and a Winter Olympics, and the curling venue for Beijing will be the venue that was made famous in swimming in the Summer Olympics in Beijing. The water cube will become the ice cube, I believe, for the curling event. Emma Sutherland having a nice game at lead as well for New Zealand, as she's at 83%.
I'm not sure if they can call it the ice cube, though, Hans. That was the name of the arena at the Sochi Olympics.
Okay, well, maybe it'll have to be the, well, let's think. Let's come up with a better name. Icebox? Well, we're in Australia. They would call it an esky.
All right.
In New Zealand, they'd call it a chili bin.
That's a nice Olympic arena name.
The Olympic chili bin? Maybe not. Maybe not. We'll work on that one. Send your suggestions to us. This one's sliding. Want to keep it away from their own stone if they can. Comes to rest just in front of the tee line. Nice tray. Nice station zebra. Great old movie. Got nothing to do with curling, but
Ice dome.
Ice dome? Yeah, I like that. Emma Sutherland. This one's sliding deep in the rings. Will it stay in the house? No, it doesn't.
Sorry.
So, here we see the contrast, I think, in approach between these two teams. Sander, Jiang Yilin not messing around at all with that corner guard. First opportunity that she has to rip it, she's going to ask Yao Mingwei to clear the guard.
Yeah, I think you'll see most top teams do that, especially when they're up by a few. Just keep it clean. Don't get involved with too many rocks in play.
Skipper Jiang Yilin surveying the sheet in front of her. Bridget Becker tapping her brush in front of that Chinese rock. That says she wants Tifjia Rajan to attempt a freeze, draw the stone in front of the Chinese rock. Is it 78% for the contest?
Yeah, a dead freeze or even all tap. Bring this level with the other yellow. Put a pull pocket.
Line's pretty good. Going on to this, yep. Where's the weight? Yep, yep, yep. Yes, you guys, yes. Hard for line. All the way. That's good. Stone.
Bridget was trying to get her sweepers interested in brushing that one. The sweepers were thinking it's got lots of weight, but Bridget was aware that one was actually starting to over-curl. Pretty good shot there, though, from Tifjia Rajan.
You might see everything go here. I don't think China will be too upset if they rip one of their own yellow stones as well here. But early on the sweep.
Boom, boom, boom. The rocks are leaving the room.
呵，
Nice shot there from Yao Mingwei.
这有点顺了。OK。嗯，
Can I come and sit there? Yeah,
明天
sure.
说上来有点容易。
Very nice stone looking at it, the replay. Look at the action. Angles are perfect.
想给没敢太没太敢给。
And that is one tidy house.
Little bit. Yep. Whoa, 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 whoa.
Yeah, so New Zealand thinking, well,
Yep, 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 yep. Roll it, roll it, roll it.
we didn't get much going in this end.
Throwing so much weight, I don't
I guess
know
we'll
if
just
it's
go for the
gonna
blank,
fail or
although
not.
there's quite a few rocks left. They could have thrown a corner guard or two and just hope for a simple miss. And if not, they could go back to the option of blanking. But we'll do that early on here, and we'll just see the stones run through unless there's a hiccup or two.
不用下，不用下，先画。
Jiang Xindi at 73% for the game.
正常就可以。OK。
Nose hit.
We'll just do this.
Oh, wrong color.
Jessica Smith's realizing that
Do that. Yeah.
she's about to throw her opponent's stone and realizing it, so switched over to the red rock.
Yeah, well, that happens with the best teams too. It's just at a championship, you play with both colors, and sometimes play yellow in the morning and red in the evening, and
Wow.
yeah, just kind of mix it up
Right
sometimes.
up there's gonna roll.
I know I have, and
I
my
might
teammates have, and they're even thrown the rock a couple of times. The good thing about curling, though, and there's no big drama if you do that. If you actually throw your opponent's rock, what you do is just switch it out after. No worries.
哦，
Yeah, matter of fact, I think I might have seen that in a practice game between draws today. Somebody practicing throwing the wrong stone.
I have no idea what you're referring to, Hans.
67、56、
给了一
7、
把。
67。
外面量有点大。
我觉得没点到。
Jiang Xindi
我不擦了。9、暂停。
trying to draw
9、9、
the
9。
Chinese stone into the rings. Whole house to draw to, so
OK。
lots of tolerance here. Comes to rest back 8 foot.
给了一把大。
这多大？
Sit in front of that one. Yeah.
And I like this call. This one is behind the tee line. It's the 6th end, and so why not try a freeze? It's a good end to try and force something to score a pair if you can. Jessica Smith.
Well, again, if they felt like they wanted to score 2 here, why not throw the corner guard earlier on, or maybe even just try and draw around the Chinese stone that was in the top of the 12 foot. There's more than enough room to come around, and it would definitely be more,
Bring it all in.
it'd be more difficult for China to deal with than even a perfect freeze here. And the perfect freeze very hard to make.
Nice blind,
And
Jim.
with the upweight abilities of China, I'm not sure if you're going to get a big mistake from them. And now a chance for them to maybe
我感觉
play the hit and roll on line 2.
他有下线啊。
Yeah.
But
啊，顺势打吧。
意识
顺势打吧。
那差挺远呢。
行。他俩区呢？啊。9秒。
Jiang Xindi holding the brush for Jiang Yilin. Chinese skip. Total focus. I know I've played a fair bit of third in my curling career, Sander, and I also feel really self-conscious trying to be really, really still for your skip, holding that target line.
哇哦！哇哦！嗨嗨！哇哦哇哦哇哦！正常下线肉，大倒飞都行。
Going to lose the shooter.
yeah, played that a little bit safe. Could have brought the weight down and had a bit more control, but just wanted to make sure to not jam it.
打薄了，有点相关。哦哦，对对对。But why? This way?
Come that way.
Brief discussion between Smith and Becker about whether they would try the freeze again, but they decide no, let's just remove it and play for a blank. Try to keep the last rock into the 7th and try to get something going then. He's still got 2 shots to execute, though.
That in turn again.
Whoa! Yeah. Stick around for this one. Yep.
We get a bit of a sweeping error. Bridget would have liked to leave that one in the rings, and Jess Smith was happy for it to roll out.
For that one.
So it's an open house for Jiang Yilin to draw into.
Yeah, gets a chance to practice the draw weight here. You know, coming home, this might be the draw she might have to make in the 10th end for the game. You never know. So it's nice to find the line and wait for the shot.
And that is pretty darn good. Front button.
Yeah, that would probably win her a game if she needed to make it.
Yep. Would win most games against me. So this time Bridget Becker would indeed like to roll out of the rings. She has to get contact on the Chinese stone first, but she wants to roll out to blank. Last stone on its way here on the 6th.
Yep. Want it to roll out? Yeah, hard.
Trying to hold the line, but this one is going to be right on the nose, and so it's going to be a single point to New Zealand, no blank. They do score the 1. So they tighten this one up, but after 6 ends of play, China retains the lead. It is 5-3.
So I hit and set for the ones I don't want to. Good game.
第7局咱还是先奔0-0打，然后如果有机会的话还是拿2分，然后这7局还是先简单0-0。如果他们出现失误的话，咱来奔2分打，然后第8局咱要后手。
行，
加油！
第7局。Line's good. Mid. Got a long way to curl yet.
Welcome back inside the Erina Ice Arena in Erina, Australia, about an hour north of Sydney, Central Coast. Yep, it's curling in Australia. Who knew? We're at the Pacific Asia Curling Championships 2017. Hans Fraunlob here with you, and joining me, Sander Rolvik, World Mixed Curling Champion, and Sander. The New Zealanders have been in this position a few times this week. They've clawed back this morning. They stole 3 consecutive ends to win a game. And it's not the way that you generally want to approach trying to win games, but they're going to have to put something together like that in the late going here tonight to win this one.
Yeah, well, little strokes fill great oaks, Hans.
Okay.
Little strokes fill great oaks.
I don't think you'd want to count your chickens before they're hatched if you're China. There's a little bit to go here.
It's not all over but the shouting. Little strokes from great oaks.
Top it. Tay.
It made me think about the name for the curling arena in Beijing again now. The Great Oak, no.
Looks like a rocket.
No, it doesn't really work with ice.
Got my tan, no, might pull up.
Again, this draw attempt from Southern Sliding deep in the house and through. So that's not going to help the cause for the New Zealanders.
No, really important to get those lead shots set up when you're looking to steal.
7拳，我厉害大的，9，我3，
China just looking to draw to the wing here. Don't want to get too much involved with the center line here. Just trying to keep the forfeit open so they can score a 1. That's more than enough for China at this point. And they're putting a couple of yellows out in the wing. That could potentially be the second and third point. And you'll see New Zealand feeling a bit nervous about those yellows, and they will now make the hit.
I'm heading right. Yeah. Yeah.
And you know, if you roll off here, you probably see Chinese peel that center guard, and then the end is you know, pretty much over for the Kiwis.
Smith and Sutherland trying to hold the line here. They want to keep the shooter in the rings. Well, that's the gentlest of double takeouts. Pushes both the Chinese stones off the rings, but as Sander predicted, Zhang Yilun immediately runs up to that center guard to try and eliminate it. Yeo Minghui has to do the honors of ripping that center guard. Nice execution there from Yeo.
Yeah, it was a very cautious call there by New Zealand. You know, surely they knew what was coming.
Yeah, there's a center guard and you're trailing, and if you're not going to use it yourself, then yep, the good assumption is that your opponent will try to deal with it and get rid of it.
Pulling out. Sit down here. She got out that bit wider, yeah? So it's going to pull up a wee bit. Preston! 10 秒. Good shot, Jim.
Yeah, so just again, New Zealand not really getting anything going. Same in the 6-10, just, you know, didn't get anything set up. Ended up taking a 1 because they missed the blank attempt. And again, they're looking at a blank end.
So it's an open hit here for Yeo Minghui. Sticks around and rolls in front of her own stone. We'll catch you up in the other matches going on in this afternoon session on Sheet C. Japan leading Australia by 6-1, and on Sheet D, unbeaten Korea rolling along. They're leading Hong Kong by an 8-1 score. The Koreans are the defending champions in the women's event, and they are looking very impressive indeed so far in the competition. That Korean team of Eun-Young Kim, of course, will be their Olympic representatives as well. Extra pressure on them, of course, being the host nation. So things are pretty much in cruise control mode for Team China. No guards, very little in play in the house to trouble them. Navigating their stone past that stone in the back of the rings. China line 1. There's Zhang Xindi. Sander, this wide open play will suit Team China just fine.
Yeah, they'd be really happy if they could blank this end and try and score on the 8th end. We talked about controlling the scoreboard. You know, with 4 ends to go, unless there's a steal, both teams get to score twice with a hammer. But if China blanks this one, there's 3 ends to go. And China would have hammer in the 8th and probably the 10th end as well. Meaning they would score twice and New Zealand only once. So yeah, I was hoping to see New Zealand put more pressure on China here to get something going.
Holding it out there.
5-6，力量还可以。减速了，擦一擦。
Has the whole house to draw to. But the only error here is coming up short.
下线还行。哇哇哇！下线，还下吗？哇 ，OK， 好球。
Okay.
No error there. That is perfect.
这多少？14秒5。
You know, I watched Pot Never Boil's hands.
We may as well like keep it open.
I've really got nothing to say after that. That's just, you know, I've got nothing.
I just mean that, you know, New Zealand can't just stand around and wait for something to happen. They're just going to have to make a move.
Okay, I'm with you now.
So, well, we'll see if they can do that in the next end. There's not much to do here now, anyway.
Well, no, that's right. We did see earlier in the game, we were kind of wondering if the Kiwis were trying to force the play a little bit and trying to be a bit too aggressive, and now they're being a bit passive. So if there's any time to dial up the volume for Team New Zealand, it's right now.
Flirting with the jam in the back, too.
Running pretty straight down that side.
Looks like Bridget's got her confidence back in her out-turn hit, which is good to see.
Not feeling much.
Did you want it to roll?
Yeah. I'll get the double. They did a jam on there.
It's not in though, is it?
Huh?
It's not in.
No, it's not in, but like
Where's the jam?
they're hoping that if I hit it there, it might jam straight on in there.
Zhang Yilin. Some rolls across the house. We're in the tee.
And of course, she's thinking, well, I know what I need to do. Make the hit and roll out to blank the end, and as a skip. And these ends kind of set up. That's it's very easy to have that thought, you know. All right, 10 more rocks to go here, and then I'm gonna have to make the blank. And we do see that shot missed quite a few times.
Yeah, you see that blank attempt. We saw Bridget Becker nose hit a blank attempt earlier in the game. So a blank isn't a natural thing. You're used to hitting rocks on the nose, and you're used to clearing guards in front of the rings, but sometimes hitting a shot in the house and rolling out, psychologically, it's a little bit more difficult.
Yeah, you're just kind of drawn to sticking around. And Becker will just hang about.
No angle for the jam here for the Chinese, but there is still a risk of a nose hit.
I don't know what I'm doing today.
Okay.
I'm just not giving it like
So final stone on its way here on end number 7 for Chinese skip Zhang Yilin. Looking for the blank. And there we go again, another nose hit.
Yep.
So mission accomplished for the New Zealanders in a quite unorthodox way. It's a nose hit and a score of 1 for China. China now leads this match by a score of 6-3 as we complete the 7th end.
if we're going to have a steal, we need those front 2 guards. I thought after we didn't get the guards and they started getting some built up, there's no point in going for that steal. Do you agree? Or are you happy with that change in tactic?
It's 2 guards.
Huh?
2 guards.
For this one? Yeah, I think so. We need 3 points.
Yan Hui of China gets us underway. Heading for home here in the Pacific Asia Curling Championships 2017 feature match on a Sunday afternoon in Erina, Australia. China holding a 6-3 lead over New Zealand. My colleague Sander Olvak. Sander, you're talking about controlling the even ends as you're coming home, and New Zealand's got last rock, so if they could score a pair here, we heard during the break that Bridget was talking about scoring 3, but that's not really necessary. If you score 2, force for 1, score 2, you're still alive.
Yeah, fine words. Butter, no parsnips, Hans.
Butter, no parsnips. Again,
too many.
I'm just lost.
Just means you know, empty talk doesn't produce anything.
Okay. So in the
gonna have to make the shots, not just plan for it.
Yeah,
and it's a great start here. Corner guard by Sutherland.
You see Yan Hui holding a bit of an edge there at the lead position in shooting percentage terms, but yes, nice corner guard there from Emma Sutherland. In the state of Texas, they would say perhaps big hat, no cattle.
It's a proverb for every occasion.
This one slides into the rings. Corner freezes their own. And I like this call by the New Zealanders. They're ignoring the shots and they want to throw a second corner guard.
Yeah, definitely need to keep your shooter around here. You know, the Yellows are very set up for a double, but yeah, you just want to try and keep a couple more rocks in play, make it a slightly more complicated than the previous end.
Getting really crew. She's gonna go really wide.
Another option would be to maybe just bump the Yellows up a little bit and try and push them in the back of the house, set something up. But I like this call too. Try and hope for a miss on the guard. This one over curls a little bit, but I think still usable.
I agree. We've seen, and once again, Jiang making the point for us that the Chinese are very quick to jump up to try and rip a corner guard. So setting a guard out there is a good tactic. You know that the Chinese will make a play at them.
Yeah, we've seen China make mistakes as well in this game. So you might as well throw a couple of corner guards. But at the same time, you're going to have to deal with the Yellowstones in the top 8.
Yes, and we've talked in other games, haven't we, Sander, about patience and cat and mouse game, and when do you make your move? And Bridget Becker now deciding that, okay, now's the time that I need to do something about these stones, at least relocate them.
Yeah, just not sure about the weight call. I'd prefer to see them throw a bit less weight and just make sure the shooter stays in play and maybe even keep the Yellows around to use them. If you play a hit and roll out here, the end is pretty much over, and that's exactly what's going to happen. And China will probably try and rip that somewhat of a corner guard, and again, there'll be nothing for New Zealand to play with.
Indeed, positioning her brush. Pre-young way to attempt to try and peel the corner guard. Good execution from the Chinese second player. Becker electing to freeze here. Do you like this call, or would you perhaps guard that stone?
I very rarely like the open freeze on a single rock. It's, again, very hard to make it perfect, and even with a perfect freeze or close to perfect, there's a great chance your opponent will be able to peel it out. You know, the open freeze was maybe great 30 years ago, but you know, the lively stones we have and the quick ice, it's not worth much. You're better off trying to come around the rock than freezing onto it. And that's something a lot of teams seems to miss. But, you know, when the ice is curling 4 to 6 feet, there's no problem coming around it. China would have to play a 4 to 6 foot run back. Much tougher shot than peeling this red stone where it ends up.
感觉14秒5投对。
打飞了可以啊，
加油！
It's an excellent point, Sander. It can seem counterintuitive to draw around a stone that's already at the tee line, but as you mentioned, there is so much curl in these stones that would afford you protection.
Yeah, it's important to remember that you don't have to beat a shot stone early in an end. You just got to make sure you have a couple of rocks in play that can be point stones later on. And China actually sticking around here is a bit of a mistake, I think, because Kiwis might be able to tap this up and create a bit of a pocket.
Just want to push it back and sit there. Yeah.
And this is a much better call.
You have to hit it all the way out. Something for them to jam, for us to jam on.
Exactamundo.
So like back 2, back 4. Yeah.
Jessica Smith.
Well, back 8. Okay, no line. Yes, okay. Back 8. Off this one then if it doesn't curl. Back 12. Line's pretty good. Back 12. Back 8 here though. Slowing along. Yep. Right up on. Hard. Yep.
Slightly over curling. Good weight. Does create a pocket, so would have liked it a little bit on the high side, but importantly, leaving the Chinese stones behind the tee line.
Yeah, that red stone is definitely leaving the house in about 20 seconds, but the pocket's very nice for the next drop. Does a good job here. China leaves the shooter in front of the yellows, so it's harder for New Zealand to use them. She's had a good game so far.
Yep, she indeed, 79%. Interesting call now. You mentioned the pocket, and there might have been an opportunity for New Zealand to draw around that stone in the 4 foot into the pocket, but Jessica Smith being asked to run back this stone in the front 4 foot and maybe try a double takeout or a triple takeout. Jams it straight back. Didn't love that call. And would have liked to see them draw a stone into the stones behind the tee line area. New Zealand stone, however, is sitting in front of the Chinese stone, so it makes it difficult for the Chinese to remove it.
Yeah, it'd be harder to stick the shooter in front this time as well. They'll probably hit the red and roll out, and Bridget Becker has the opportunity to maybe play a freeze in the pocket of the 2 yellows on the tee line.
Might have to nudge them a little bit to get shot, but they are just behind the tee line. Good look at it from our overhead.
Okay.
So she could corner freeze the shot stone. Zhang Yilun. Picks it clean, rolls her own shooter, and it's going to hang on. Just a biter of the 12 foot. Becker will ignore that, of course. All the action's in the 4 foot.
What way do you reckon you threw? What way?
What do you reckon? 3? Go ahead, Bridget.
Weight's nice, Bridget.
2953.
There's Siege. Zhang Yilun having a super game, 89% at the skip position. That's very good shooting
It's
indeed.
be right up onto that yellow.
Bridget Becker, even though she's trailing in shooting percentage, if she can lock this freeze and somehow generate a pair, we're still in this game.
Top 4. Whoa. Top 4. Needs it for weight, I think. Needs it for weight, Jess. Yeah.
Sweep is just saying it needs it for weight. Can't be short.
Yep. Right up onto it. Hard.
Going to afford to bump, but they can't be short.
Yeah, bump would be great, actually. This is looking pretty good.
Cozy's in there. I think it's in second shot position, but it's in a very annoying place for Team China.
I think it'd be hard to make a much better shot than that.
Yeah, it's welded right in the pocket. Very nice shot. And we see it's almost impossible for the Chinese to remove that red stone. So they're talking about a corner freeze. They can bump it, of course. Just nudge it.
I'm not sure if a freeze is totally necessary here, Hans. If it's in the wrong angle, it might make the shot easier for New Zealand. Maybe even just tight guard or top 12 could suffice. The line is more important here than anything.
Shots on its way for Jiang Yiling. After that nice freeze by Bridget Becker. Wow, great brushing. I was just going to ask the same question. Now, how do you score 2? I think you're going to have to 3/4 hit that yellow stone and roll your own into the 4-foot, I think, Sander. That's the only way to score 2. There we get to look at the angles.
That's pretty much a nose hit, I think. Hair off nose. And then just hope that that red stone doesn't necessarily spin up and out too far.
I think she'll need to hit 3/4 on the inside of that yellow stone at the top of the 4-foot. Just roll inside, push that shot stone backwards out of the ring.
Try something for a deuce.
I agree, Bridget.
The one's like.
I think the nose hit Hans and all 3 yellow go.
Do you want to try?
What way do you want to come?
I'm not sure if the shot rock or the target rock would spring all the way out of the 4-foot on a nose hit, though, Sander. We'd find out. You'd have to throw a lot of weight.
Hang out. Does it have to be a big weight?
Just gonna have to move them.
Yeah.
I'm not sure.
Okay.
I wouldn't throw this turn either.
Yeah.
I don't think you can. I don't think you can catch the center line side of that rock and leave the shooter in the 4-foot, Hans.
What way are you going?
I don't know. She reckons throw board.
I
We're
tend
going
to
to try
agree.
and hit it just slightly on the nose on this side.
I think if you throw board weight, hit half the rock on the brush side as we're
Red one
looking
has
at it.
potential to pop out. That's the only problem. The way the rocks are sitting.
Roll into the 4-foot.
Just board.
It's not a lot of ice though for board weight. We're going to find out. The last rock on its way here on end number 8.
Board.
Difficult shot here.
Yep.
No room for error for Bridget Becker. Has to get a little bit of inside contact and some action and hope her stone sticks around. This one's really moving though. It's over curling, I believe. Noses it and pushes the Chinese stone into the button. So that one over curls, and it is a steal of 1 to China. So difficult chance at the deuce for the New Zealanders doesn't come off, and it's a steal of 1 to China. And they take firm control of this match after 8 ends of play. It's China 7 and New Zealand 3.
扫一半。对你扫这边是不是？那就扫这边。时间。行，不着急。啊，这两个有点小。5、6。
Yan Hui.
30
gets us underway in the ninth, and right through the between end break, Sander and I were still carrying on the conversation about the angles on that last stone attempt of the New Zealanders. Certainly had to try it. There's no doubt that you had to try the shot for two. One wasn't really going to do it for you. It's one of the things that makes this sport so fascinating. There's usually 2 and sometimes 3 different ways to make a shot or attempt a shot.
Line's good. Leg. Swan it out here.
Emma Sutherland looking on.
Gonna curl. Just get it over. Just gonna curl a lot. Haven't got much handle in there. Good weights, Emma.
Right over the World Curling Federation logo. Long corner guard.
Yeah, it's in a fine spot.
That is a good spot.
It's a tad long, but see the time clocks in the background. Both teams have got plenty of thinking time available, so playing time not a factor at all in this game.
Okay.
I think they might. Not quite sure what the shot is here. Tap.
Chinese team seem to be pretty happy playing stones into the rings without last rock.
Tap is the call. And it's a pretty good shot, but I'm not sure if you need 2 rocks in the house at this point.
It does seem to be their approach, though, doesn't it? They do seem to throw them both in, and then when they have an opportunity, the minute they have an opportunity to try and clear a guard, they try ripping guards. Here's the key rock, though, coming up for Emma Sutherland. We saw in the last end. She was heavy on a come-around attempt. New Zealanders really need this one.
Yeah, you throw 1 rock into the forfeit, and if you make your peels, you're never giving up more than 2, and then you'll be 2 up with the hammer coming home. That should be enough. Those 2 yellows in the top house is something New Zealand can potentially come around, and the good thing for China is they're not staggered, they're pretty much online, so that's good for them. I know Randy Furby and Marcel Rock, the Chinese coaches, had a bad experience with the same setup.
Absolutely. Mark Dacey winning a Briar.
Yeah, Dacey 2 down with hammer in the 10th and came around a couple of staggered stones, top of the house. Ended up scoring 3.
Our New Zealand team played the World Championships against Mark Dacey that year after they won that Briar. So that was it was a terrific shot in a terrific opportunity. And these stones might be available for the New Zealanders to use as guards, but Becker looking at playing a hit, and you would think about going the wide way around the pile and perhaps using those stones in the rings as guards, but Becker electing to hit them.
Yeah, either come around them or just tap them up, and again, just try and move them back of house. There's no need to remove them from play. It's just making things easier for China. There's nothing to jam to, and you know, double is nice, but it doesn't do them much good.
No. New Zealanders would do much better to keep rocks in play rather than remove them at this point, being 4 down.
All that glitters is not gold, Hans.
It's always darkest before the dawn, Sander. As we continue our cliche showdown here in the 9th end of this curling contest, Team China is just rolling along, executing well. Moves the New Zealand rock.
About there? Yeah.
This time with the frontal more open. A chance for New Zealand to come around the corner.
Line's got room. Line's a room. Top 4.
And as you mentioned, Sander, that stone in the 12th that the New Zealanders would be able to use that as a guard as well.
This heavy? Yes, yes, yes.
Okay.
Yes, yes.
Bridget's looking for a bit of a feather off of that one. A little bit late
Yeah.
on the sweep to try and get that.
We could have like.
10秒。
Yeah, they could have come around that stone top 12, and then
Okay.
China might have peeled the guard, and then you could have come around again, and
Yeah.
that would be a chance for you to score 3.
Bridget Becker looking at her options. Jiang Xindi.
10秒5 10秒5
力量。嗨，哇
10秒5
哇，10秒5哈登线哇。Hurry，我也甩呢。Hurry，哈，全力擦 Hurry。投 Hurry。啊 ，OK。
Nice execution there from Team China. Removes the New Zealand shot. So once again, a few rocks accumulating and
back, that's fine.
yeah, bumping it back. That's exactly right, Bridget. If you just nudge it back a couple of feet, we saw on the last end how
there?
creating a pocket behind the tee line gave the New Zealanders an opportunity to score 2, and they're trying to do that again here. You realistically need at least 2 in this end to have a chance in this one.
Back 4. Okay. Back 8. Back close. Back 8. Okay. Back 12. Back 12, Bridget. Okay, yep. Hard.
Good feedback from the sweepers about the weight, so Bridget switches gears, looking to feather the top stone and
Worth a try.
nudges them around. They're all still in front of the tee line, but it was a good mid-shot switch option there. Alert from the sweepers. They're communicating the weight was a little heavier than they were looking for, so they could do something else with it.
只要打掉就行。
9秒。9
No,
秒。
I don't think you'll see China sticking around here.
And you're right, Sander. China will be looking for as few rocks in play as they possibly can.
Yeah, lesson for the kids out there. If you're up 4, no need to stick around with too many stones in the house. They're not helping you.
哇，掉线了哇。
You don't need to score any more points.
哇，
So don't do that.
Yeah, I think I saw that situation in the practice game between draws today as well, Sander.
Sit in there. Give it a little bump, that's all right.
Unorthodox 4-point lead defense.
Give you a little left side.
I couldn't throw any peels because I didn't want to take Jamie Barrasa's hacks out.
Oh, that's wise. Jessica Smith now. 3 Chinese stones in the rings, but New Zealand doesn't mind that.
Top 4. Okay.
Just want to get their own stone in front of one of them.
Yep, for line. Hard for line. All the way. Hard.
Jaranjan,
Right up.
Sutherland trying to drag this stone as deep in the house as they can. They want to get at least second shot if they could.
Well, close.
And that's a pretty good shot there from Jess Smith. It corner freezes the stone.
Good sweep.
Only difficulty for the New Zealanders, it's behind that corner guard. It's almost too good because it's going to be difficult for them to make a play on it themselves. But as far as the weight goes, and we talked about sitting in front of your opponent's stone, it certainly does that.
差了手，差了。
这边没那么。
稍微放一点，这会儿都行，你主要是挡这个。
哦，对，OK，
这会儿就行。
这一点。
In this situation, when you're New Zealand, you know to score that 2 or 3, you're likely going to need to make some kind of a double or a triple takeout, maybe 2 of them.
行，还是得奔。
You accept that. That's kind of the price you pay for trying to generate something like this.
这点啊，13.68。
你去6区就行，线路好的话要就比它近，线路不好的话就力量好就比它近，力量不好就等线。
行，OK。
That is mighty fine shooting at the 4th position, 91%.
56，大点
别
的。
太给上面有点带球啊。对，顶线。6、
6、
带着点阳。顶线有点带球。
哦，
顶线
你还是挺的。站
站
先磕，力量站磕了。磕。下线带着。
下线擦呢？下线擦呢？也磕开。磕开。
Just nudges her own shot rock straight back. It's a pretty good shot there for Yulin.
You know, it certainly takes away the Hammy Macmillan round the house against Vic Peters 92 worlds shot.
Sander, you're going into, you know, great shot, greatest hits here. This is fantastic.
Yeah, if that stone wasn't thrown, there would be a chance for New Zealand, sorry. Hit the wide yellow, roll onto the shot stone, and then back up and catch the third. Sit two in behind the corner. Would have been something.
It certainly would have.
And what I was referencing was Hammy McMillan did that shot to score 3, I think, against Vic Peters in the semi-final of the Worlds in '92. So one of the more memorable curling shots, at least on tape.
Absolutely right. One thing about Scottish curlers that you can guarantee is they like to throw the heat when they get the chance. Bridget Becker now is going to have to move some stones of her own. Sweepers on it right away.
Again, it's getting that intern started, and it's going to wreck on the guard here.
Take that guard off.
Oh, well.
Roll it in. Yeah.
Well, that's been the story of the match, unfortunately, for the New Zealand skip.
Not helping you guys out enough, Chandler. Okay.
还往那个位置投，稍微靠外侧一点也可以。
行，那你稍微放一点点吧。
放了
我觉得放题没有点儿的。
放了，稍微，对。其实往中线上投也行，但是他打那个的话出不去，正好是一个3D的角。挡一下吧，
少憋一点，
对，
中间这
憋一点。
It's a little bit quiet in the arena here,
稍微
Hans.
收一点，丹尼。
No, that's true. This is the last game remaining. There were 3 games going on. Just updating the scores in the other matches. Korea went 11-1 winners over Hong Kong, and Japan were 8-2 winners over Australia. Turning to our feature match, China holding a 7-3 lead over New Zealand, playing on the 9th end. And China is lying 4. New Zealand with last rock, but looking pretty desperate right now for the Kiwis. Chang Yilun, once again, having an excellent game, throwing in the 90s and puts her stone in a very good place. No chance at all for a pair here for New Zealand. So now the only question is, can you score?
It's
been a really steady performance from this Chinese team this afternoon, Sander. Very solid.
Yeah, it's, haven't made too many mistakes, I think. And definitely denied New Zealand scoring a multiple score, no steals. They've been forced to a single in both the 2nd, 4th, and 6th end. And again here in the 9th possibility, although Bridget Becker needs to make this draw. Bridget
Becker needs a piece of the button to score 1. She's going to have to navigate the Chinese stones to get there.
Watch the line. Yep.
Starting to curl.
Yes.
Has it over curled? Yes, it has. And it is a steal of 2 to Team China.
Good game.
And New Zealand concedes defeat. So China, with the steal of 2 on the 9th end, giving them a 9-3 advantage. New Zealand decides that is enough for this afternoon, deciding that lead is insurmountable, conceding defeat. Your final score this afternoon, China rolling along, claiming a 9-3 victory. Sander, China is just looking strong.
Yeah, just another example of big fish eat little fish, Hans. That's powerhouse of China. Steamrolling over New Zealand today and just couldn't get the ball rolling. It's yeah, an impressive game, and I'm sure we'll see a couple more this week from these Chinese girls.
Yeah, a very strong performance for the Chinese team. Their confidence continues to grow in this tournament. Team New Zealand, their 2-game winning streak is snapped, but they'll have a rest tonight and they'll come back tomorrow and carry on in this double round robin competition. Confirmation of her scoreline. China finishing strong. Session 7 action, New Zealand versus China. Play in the third end, China with last rock. New Zealand skip Bridget Becker trying to make a double takeout on Chinese stones, but rockets past the Chinese target, so it is a draw for 3 points coming up for Chinese skip Jiang Yilun. She needs full 12-foot. All three sweepers dragging it into the rings. Have they got it far enough? And good sweeping indeed. It is a count of 3 for China. Last shot of the fifth end for Jiang Yilun. Lying one already. Needs to draw a full 12-foot to cash that second point. Straight into the 4-foot. So it's a score of 2 for China, leading it 5-2. Cluster of stones on the edge of the 4-foot in the 8th end. New Zealand skip Bridget Becker trying to hit and roll on the inside, slightly over curls, and it's a steal of 1 to China. China moving to a strong 7-3 lead after 8. In the 9th, facing 4 Chinese counters. Bridget Becker trying to draw a piece of the button. It just slightly over curls, and it's a steal of 2 for the Chinese. New Zealand concedes defeat. A strong performance from Team China. Skip Jiang Yilun throwing over 90%, and China walks off the ice 9-3 winners. And now let's meet the winning skip.
A good game by China today. What were you happy about today? Are you happy with your players' performance today?
就是今天这场比赛非常好，真的祝贺你！是不是对今天这场比赛感觉很满意？包括你的队友的表现？今天这整场比赛下来，我们的表现我还是非常满意的，因为整个今天战术主要是打得比较稳定为主，然后发挥出我们正常的水平，然后去控制比赛、控制比分，然后最后能比较轻松的拿下这场比赛。
So I'm very happy for my team today, and for us, for this game, we have made our discussion before the game that we just want to have general techniques, control the game, control the scoreboard.
And how much do you appreciate the chance of coming here to the Pacific Asia Curling Championship and getting that experience?
所以因为我们也知道你们是今天新队伍第一次来参加这个太平洋的比赛，你们是不是很珍惜这样的机会，然后对这样的比赛就是表达一下你自己的心情、你的看法？
打了这么多年冰壶，实际上是我们国家第一年，就是说有2支队伍同时出来进行训练和比赛。就是作为一支年轻队伍，我们很感谢国家和领导，就是能给我们这样的机会，然后让我们出来锻炼。然后，所以对于这次比赛，我们非常珍惜。我们就是也希望我们能拿出我们自己最好的水平来回报我们的，就是领导给我们的这次机会。
Ever since the first year I played curling, this is the first time that we have 2 Chinese teams playing outside China, playing in the World Curling Tour. And also this is the same time that we have 2 high-level teams compete in the worldwide. And I'm happy that our team get this opportunity to play in the Pacific Asia Championship. And we really appreciate this opportunity. I really appreciate my team and all the support from the Chinese Curling Association.
All right, thank you so much and good luck.
Thank you.
So that'll do it this afternoon from Erina, Australia. Zhang Yilin and her Chinese teammates, a very solid performance here. We hope you've enjoyed the action. On behalf of our entire production team, my colleague Sander Rolvag, I'm Hans Fraunlab. Thank you very much for joining us on this lovely Sunday afternoon here in Erina, Australia. So long from Erina.